speech. This is technically the closing remarks, but our ballot counters are still in the process of counting ballots. So we're going to have the speech. We're going to do a solidarity photo for the dining workers in the new school.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, DSA. I'm so humbled and honored. First and foremost, I just want to thank every single human being in this room. It is an honor and a privilege to be endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America of New York City. I also want to congratulate so much mi hermana Julia Salazar on her endorsement, and also on Jabari Brisport for being amazing, as always. There was a comment during Julia's discussion on her endorsement about how Joe Crowley is going to be the next Speaker of the House. And I'm here to tell you, no, he's not. I'm here to tell you that the presumptive next Speaker of the House is going to be toppled by New York City DSA. Because we are so much more powerful than even we think we are. We are so much more powerful than everybody out there thinks that we are, and we already think we're pretty powerful. I'll tell you that much. I think that, it all comes back and down to our metrics and our values. When I first started this race, and for those of you who don't know me, I should have probably said that. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You can read that up there. I'm running for Congress in New York's 14th district. Thank you. New York 14, for those of you who may not know, covers the Bronx and Queens, about East Bronx and Northern Queens. And for me, my background, I'm a third-generation Bronxite. Thank you. Uptown, way uptown. I'm a third-generation Bronxite. I was born in the Bronx to Puerto Rican parents in a one-bedroom apartment. Puerto Rico is right. Se levanta y no se vende. My father was a member of the diaspora. He was born in the South Bronx when the Bronx was burning, when landlords set their own buildings on fire because the payments from the insurance companies was higher than the rent that they would get from poor families. My mother was born in Puerto Rico. My mother was born in Puerto Rico with 20 people living in what was essentially a shanty by the beach. And they moved around a lot. My parents were both born in poverty. But, this little boy that was born in the South Bronx and this little girl that was born in the beachside and the mountains, much of my family is also from Utuado, in Puerto Rico, they met. Fate brought them together. They met on the island, got married, moved back, and had me. And that's where this whole story starts. I think as a kid, for those, actually everyone here is of age, understands. But back in the day, if you couldn't pay for cable TV, your television shows were scrambled on certain channels. And so one of my favorite activities as a kid was to sit in front of a scrambled television set and listen to episodes of Star Trek. I promise this is going somewhere. We'd listen to episodes of Star Trek, and I was obsessed. I inherited this obsession from my father. I was totally obsessed, from the technology to the science fiction, but also because Star Trek was one of the most socially revolutionary shows on television. And yeah, I'm liking that. And for a lot of reasons. You know, many people may not know that Martin Luther King was actually critical in continuing Lieutenant Uhura's character on the show, which was really the first black female on television that was not subservient, that was in fact a leader. And so anyways, watching this was one of the best little treats of my childhood. And the reason I bring this up is because one of the small yet foundational aspects of that world, something that we almost take for granted when we're watching this, is that when they think of a society 1,000 years in the future, when they think of a society that is intellectually, technologically, and ethically advanced, a society, a just society, no one goes hungry in that society. No one goes sick or homeless from lack of resources. And while that world may have been science fiction, the story was real, and the show was real. And that value conveyed a powerful message that ethical, advanced societies are not just wealthy, they are good. And that is what we are here to establish. That is what brings us together, the pursuit of a good society, not just a rich society. We come here together to advance the notions that the number one goal of an individual is not how many zeros are in one's bank account, but how many people are housed, how many people are fed, how much opportunity that every American has to pursue what they can do, to pursue self-realization. And that is what this is about. My journey here in this race started in 2016, but it had nothing to do with the election. I was at Standing Rock, and I drove across the country, and as I drove across the country, I passed through Cleveland, Ohio, I passed through Flint, Michigan, and I ended up there witnessing the work of the Lakota Sioux. When you got on those grounds, they were sacred, and they said something very special when you got on there. Everything you do here is ceremony. Everything we do in our organizing and our work is ceremony, because protecting each other is a sacred act. Fighting for one another is a sacred act. Showing up to close Rikers is a sacred act. It is not just the ethical thing to do, but it is also the logical thing to do. Because a society that takes care of the most basic, essential resources, food, housing, a society that takes care of our healthcare is a society that maximizes the potential of every human being. And that is a productive society, it is a just society, it is an ethical society, and it just makes sense. I am here today because I got lucky. I worked my butt off, but I got lucky. I am here today because a girl that was born in the South Bronx isn't supposed to be running for Congress. But what I'm running for is a world where it doesn't take luck to succeed, a world where it doesn't take pure luck, so that you can get an education, so that you never fall sick, so that you can continue to live a healthy, productive life. And what that means is Medicare for all. What that means is tuition-free public college everywhere in America. What that means is the abolition of ICE. Is federal student loan forgiveness. What that means is a job guarantee for all who seek it. And what it means, and what all of these things mean, is that is an advanced society. That is what we are fighting for. This morning I was at the Woodside Cemetery, Woodside Jackson Cemetery, and I was invited by a local community group to come out there to help clean up the cemetery. It was a green space that had totally been overgrown. It was undignified. It was across from Woodside houses. And so they came together to clean it up. And so I go there and I get introduced to the woman, Elizabeth. Her name was Elizabeth, that was organizing this effort. Because I want to make clear that the way that we get there is messy. Electoral politics is messy. Changing the world is messy work. And we don't run away because we got to get our hands dirty. We need to meet the world where it's at. We need to meet the Bronx where it's at. We need to meet Jackson Heights where it's at. And we move forward together. That is how we get it done. And this is a perfect example of why. Because there's no perfect, confident path forward. I was at this cemetery. The community organizer approached me, and she told me the story of this cemetery. I had no idea what I was walking into. We walk in, and she said, this used to be a cemetery for some of the most powerful, aristocratic families in New York. Families that communed with people like the Rikers. For those who don't know, Rikers Prison is named after a powerful family that sold free men back to the South. That is what Rikers Prison is named after. So she's rattling off all of these names. And suddenly, I feel such a mix of emotions because I'm here to clean up a space to honor men that would have enslaved my family if they could. But we had to clean it up anyway, because that's not what it represents to the people who live here now. What it represents is a dignified, clean space. And that is, those types of problems, those types of scenarios are the ones that we run into every day, because the world is not clean. We need to figure out what we can accomplish now. It's not about the ballot line. We got to be on every ballot line. We got to be everywhere if we're going to make a change. We got to be in every community if we're going to make a change. We got to be uncomfortable to make a change. This is not just about organizing in Greenpoint and organizing in the Upper West Side. This is about organizing in the BX. This is about going to the communities that we may be a little uncomfortable to go to, because that is what the work requires of us. And that is how we make change. It's about learning a few words in a new language. It is about growing our ranks. It is about conveying the mission. It's about marching onward and organizing to a society that is good for all of us. And that is what we are here to accomplish. I'm running for Congress because we can do it right now. We don't have to wait. We don't have to wait 50 years to realize this world. We don't need to work our way up. We can take it out at the top. And when we talk about what's going on locally, if we want to run a single DSA member on city council, state assembly, or state senate in Queens, we gotta take out Joe Crowley. We gotta take out the magnet. We gotta take out the magnet for luxury real estate developer money. We gotta take out the magnet for private equity groups. We gotta take out the magnet for the big banks that are profiting off of my family that doesn't have water in Puerto Rico. That's what we gotta do. And we don't do that by thinking small. We we don't do that by staying in a small little box. We do it by going for the top, because we can. Because New York 14, let me tell you something. I am an educator. I am an organizer. I understand my community. This community is 70% people of color. The average median income is $47,000 a year. It is half immigrant. They didn't vote for Joe Crowley, but they will vote for us. We just gotta make sure that it happens. That's it, baby. That's all we gotta do. So one last thing. We've got 7 weeks to make it happen. We've done a lot of the work. We've done a lot of the organizing. We've got a lot of the buy-in. But what I'm asking for you is in the next 8 weeks, 7 weeks, if you believe that we can win, which is from, I want to credit that Black Lives Matter, that's where that comes from. But if you do believe that we can do this, I'm asking you to leave it all on the field. We got 7 weeks, and they don't rest. They will bring their money into this room if they could. So we got to be right out there with them. We got to be right out there. We have 7 weeks to knock on doors, to mobilize, to let people know that the first primary in 14 years was brought here by Ocasio 2018, that we made that happen with organizing. And the same way we got on the ballot to trigger the first ever election is the same way we are going to win this seat for Congress. But we need your help. So if you want to leave it all on the field, if you want to make a change right now, I need you to join our ranks. I need us to mobilize, because it starts here, that we're going to get Julia elected. Jabari wants it again. I say that. I haven't even asked him if he wants to run again. We're going to get him elected, and we need to get everybody else here to take it over, because this is the future, and if we want an advanced society, we got to work for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be in this movement with all of you. I believe actually someone else from the Electoral Working Group is going to come up and talk about next steps. Our canvassing kickoff will be on May 19th in the 18th District. I hope to see every one of you there.
I don't have much more to add except that we have some work to do. All right, yes. So this requires all of us, right? And as Julia mentioned, we have a kickoff that we will start canvassing on May 19th, 1 o'clock in North Brooklyn. We have some folks who are around the room who also have clipboards. I also really encourage folks. We also have 7 weeks to get out in the East Bronx and in Queens. So we have a lot going on. So please, you are all delegates to this convention. Take this energy back to your DSA organizing spaces. Talk to your comrades, right? We want to show up for these incredible candidates and get out there. We want to be talking to people about abolishing ICE. We want to be talking to people about what it means to have universal rent control in Bushwick. Okay? We need to be doing this. This is our way to go out and reach people in these places. So please, you need to show up and you need to go back to all of your branches and talk to folks about this. Thank you. We will win.